Hello everyone, happy Monday and welcome to this channel. Today we're going to be talking about the newest fragrance releases that have been announced over this past week in our weekly rendition of Smash or Pass. This series is meant to aggregate all the releases that have been announced, and it's also a fun way for us to window shop, look at new fragrances, evaluate the notes, talk about them, look at the trends, and just have a fun way for us to catch up over the weekend. If this is your first time watching this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I love fragrances. I talk about them here every single weekday, Monday through Friday. I also publish additional content on TikTok and Instagram under the username ANECHKAFRAGRANCES, and I do have a podcast. It's called The Fragrance Report. On this podcast, we focus mainly on beauty and fragrance history. So if that's of interest to you, then definitely do check it out. It's called The Fragrance Report. It's available on Spotify and here on YouTube, with a new episode launching every single Wednesday. This Wednesday's episode will be quite interesting because we'll be focusing on perfume and travel in the 1950s. So if that sounds intriguing to you, then definitely check back in on Wednesday. But if you're also someone who wants to be a bit more mindful when it comes to your fragrance consumption, if you want a better way to track what's in your collection, track your fragrance samples, decants, full bottles, it's really hard to sometimes keep track of those things, then I'd highly suggest you download my fragrance collection log and expense tracker. It's available in my Stan store. So with that being said, we have a lot to get through today, so let's get started. Alright, so the first release is from Forever Mood, which is Jackie Aina's brand. This is a new perfume that's supposed to be a woody gourmand fragrance just in time for the fall. And so far, I think a little bit of PR has gone out, and based on the reviews from the PR and the first initial impressions, it looks like this might be a pretty successful launch. So this has notes of pomegranate and elemi at the top, a heart of vanilla milk, Turkish rose, and roasted pistachio, and then a base of suede and warm amber. I absolutely love that they included suede in this fragrance, and from what I have seen people say online, this is a very realistic nutty pistachio fragrance, and I think the rose is supposed to come in a little bit later throughout the fragrance's development. So this seems like an interesting one. I think in general the Forever Mood line is such a win for Jackie Aina, and it's such a standout brand in and of itself. This is an example of a brand that really knows how to cater towards its customers. The bottle design is custom, the brand is very well thought out, and it's basically supposed to epitomize glamour, luxury, and comfort, which is something that's very on brand for Jackie Aina. I mean, we know she launches candles, and this was a very natural continuation for her, and I feel like every single time there is a new development or a new item from this brand, that is met with such positivity and a lot of acclaim, and that is because of good marketing, knowing your customer, and generally having amazing products. So really excited about this. I'm looking forward to testing this in store, of course, and again, it's nice to see brands coming out with more suede and leather in their fragrances. I feel like that's a note that's not very well explored in a lot of people's kind of like fragrance repertoire, because people tend to get very intimidated by those kind of animalic notes. But in my mind, I feel like notes like suede and leather are really good kind of velvety additives to a fragrance. And when it comes to a fragrance like this with a lot of like kind of florals with like a gourmand woodiness, and you're trying to make it suited for fall, I feel like suede is a really good step in the right direction when it comes to this particular fragrance. So Forever Mood, She Was Here. This launched first, I believe, on the Sephora app, but I believe right now it is waitlisted. So they should be able to get a new stock of it soon, but looks like a very exciting release so far. We also have a new launch by YSL. This is a limited edition flanker of the original Libre fragrance, and this fragrance is called Libre Vanille Couture, and this is supposed to be a fragrance that includes lavender sourced from France, as well as a signature Libre orange blossom that is of course so popular. So we have top notes of lavender and orange blossoms amid black bourbon, vanilla caviar, and then a base of rum absolute. So it looks like they're also trying to go into that kind of gourmand ambery trend for the fall time. So let's look at the bottle design as well. I actually like this. I feel like this is how do I say, it still is keeping the Libre theme, so I think the branding is really good, and they're like coming out with something that like is new. It's a different texture, of course, but it seems fresh enough considering that it's a flanker. But regardless, this is a Libre flanker, so I feel like so many designer brands come under some level of criticism because they're always coming out with flankers. This it's very cost effective for the brand to do so. They're able to capitalize off of fragrances that go viral and have a lot of hype around them. But I think honestly, at this point, it's gotten um, so convoluted sometimes with all these new flanker releases that I personally cannot keep track of like the various nuances between each flanker, because to me in my mind they all smell so similar that like I literally I cannot tell you the difference between each one of these flankers, and I know many reviewers absolutely can, but I'm not one of them. I just feel like sometimes it's just good to have like one version of a particular fragrance. Like if you like the flanker better, so be it. But I personally don't get excited about flankers. I feel like flankers are not necessarily a bad thing from a sales perspective because you are able to give your customer a slight tweak, a slight variety when it comes to a fragrance. Like maybe someone doesn't necessarily want a certain version of a fragrance, but they're happy with the scent profile, but they want it to be lighter or darker or more gourmand or more floral. Flankers allow for that variety, but still keep that like uniform scent signature that a lot of people really gravitate towards. So from a branding perspective, I see the benefit of having flankers, but from a consumer's perspective, I just like they end up kind of like looking really similar to me, and it's difficult to differentiate or really be excited about a flanker release. So while I think that this is good from their branding perspective because we all know how popular Libre is, this is just not something that I'm super excited about. I'll smell it, of course, but am I going to go out of my way for it? Probably not. So we also have a interesting collaboration between Armaf and Christian Provenzano. For those of you who are unaware, Christian Provenzano is one of the most notable noses in the industry right now, and he is launching a collaboration with Armaf with 4 new fragrances. So essentially we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what they look like here. So let's break these down individually, starting off with number 1. This fragrance will have top notes of saffron and rose, a mid of fruity notes, and then a base of leather. 2 will have top notes of fruity notes, passion fruit, saffron, and rose, a mid of benzoin and oud, and a base of leather, amber, and patchouli. 3 will have top notes of pink pepper, tangerine, bergamot, and neroli, a mid of cedarwood, apple, and rose, and then a base of white musk, cinnamon, and vetiver. And finally, 4 will have top notes of bergamot, orange, lemon, and pink pepper, a mid of ylang ylang, tuberose, and fruits, and then a base of woody notes, patchouli, vanilla, amber, and musk. Not gonna lie, the ones that are most interesting to me are definitely the first 2. I love the combination of notes, but in general, I think I'm intrigued by all of these fragrances. It's really interesting to see kind of like I don't want to say acceptance, but it's nice to see Middle Eastern brands kind of get, yeah, I guess a bit of acceptance in like the mainstream fragrance world, because there are so many people in the kind of like old school fragrance industry that have a strong disdain for Middle Eastern brands, because there's that whole stereotype that Middle Eastern clones are taking over the entire market and they're so much more horrible than like the original fragrances that are hundreds of dollars and imitated constantly. And I feel like on one end you have like such this dislike for the Middle Eastern fragrances, but then on the other hand you have these brands who are coming out with fragrances that, yes, sometimes are alternatives to other more expensive fragrances, but oftentimes they have their own original fragrances. And oftentimes they're affordable or at least comparable in price to what we see in the designer world. And I think at the end of the day, it's really wonderful to see a notable nose do a collaboration, like do a collection like this with a Middle Eastern brand, because it signifies to me that we might be seeing some sort of a shift when it comes to how the establishment regards Middle Eastern fragrance brands like Armaf, Lattafa. I mean, I was checking Fragrantica the other day, and Latafa literally is like the #1 searched fragrance brand on Fragrantica right now, which says so much about what social media has done for fragrance, but also where people are at when it comes to how much money they're comfortable spending on fragrance. I mean, it's no secret that right now the ability for people to spend money on non-essential items has diminished, and with that, people are even more inclined to go for affordable options, and that does include the Middle Eastern fragrances. So, all in all, this seems like a really interesting collaboration. I'm looking forward to potentially trying this. I think I'll be trying to get some decants of these online when they do get available. But all in all, it's so inspiring to see such a notorious nose collaborate directly with a Middle Eastern brand. I think it's a interesting step, and it's definitely something that I hope we'll see more of with these prominent noses, kind of like adding more legitimacy to kind of like the mass market Middle Eastern brands that, like I said, have had that stereotype for the last few years, but hopefully we start to break away from that stereotype. So anyway, this is an interesting launch. I'm looking forward to testing it out. Okay, we have a new launch from Paris Corner. This is peach themed. It's called Higher Peach Delulu. And this will have notes of peach, guava, and nectarine at the top, a mid of ginger and cardamom, and then a base of caramel, musk, and dry wood. This seems intriguing. I don't know if I will be going for this because I feel like even though these notes do look lovely, this is probably not going to be what I want to wear right now. It seems like it'll be sweet, gourmand. I already have guava fragrances that I very much love, namely Neydo Alien Fruit. That, in my mind, is like a chef's kiss, perfect version of a realistic guava scent. And for me, I find that I think I'm all set when it comes to peach fragrances. If you're interested in seeing my favorite peach fragrances from a variety of different price points, you can check on last week's video where I talked about 6 peach fragrances from affordable and niche brands, and that kind of breaks down the different iterations of peach that I have in my collection. So all to say, I'm not necessarily looking for another peach fragrance, so this is going to be a pass for me, but if this sounds interesting to you, definitely do check it out. We have a new launch from Guerlain. They're adding another fragrance to their Absolute Allegoria lineup called Flora Bloom. So Flora Bloom is supposed to be inspired by a nocturnal bouquet in which tuberose takes on a more sensual and hypnotic character. This has top notes of mandarin, mango, and coconut, a heart of rose, tuberose mirabilis, and ylang-ylang, and then a base of moss, patchouli, sandalwood, and incense. This sounds rather lovely. I'm really curious about this. I feel like this is such like the right fragrance to come out with, especially around this time of year once we're like getting into the fall. I love the idea of a darker kind of floral fragrance. It's a little bit more ambery that has more depth. I love the idea of launching a darker, more incense focused woody floral fragrance in time for the fall and winter. I think this is a really good release to have around this time of year, and I would love to smell this one. We have a few more launches from Lattafa. I first want to talk about a new flanker of Anya. This is Anya Scarlet. And for those of you who don't know, Anya is a fragrance line from Lattafa. Whenever they come out with Anya fragrances, to my mind, like they've never really been like similar to each other. They are called Anya, but I think that they tend to be very different. I have the Poudre Anya flanker, and I love that. If you're looking for a beautiful powdery vanilla fragrance, that is chef's kiss gorgeous. That's the best one I've tried. They're coming out with this new version called Scarlet, with top notes of black cherry and pink pepper, a mid of white rose, peony, tonka bean, and nutmeg, and then a base of patchouli, crystal caramel, sugar, and vanilla. This is going to be a spicy floral gourmand fragrance, apparently. I will say this is probably not going to be a fragrance I'm going to go out of my way to try or buy because I don't need another cherry fragrance. I have plenty of them, do let me know if you would like me to do a cherry video for the fall time, because I will absolutely do that. But I already have enough cherry fragrances. I'm probably not going to gravitate towards this if I do get it, so this would be a waste for me. So if you are looking for a cherry fragrance and this sounds like something that you might like, definitely check it out. But like I said, my favorite from this lineup is Anna Viet Poudre. That one is like chef's kiss gorgeous. The other ones I've tried, they're like kind of like not the greatest. I haven't tried all the other ones, I will say. But yeah, this is probably going to be a pass. But again, if you're interested, go for it. But I also want to talk about some new launches from Lattafa, because they're launching quite a few new items. The next thing is this fragrance called Dynasty. So Dynasty will be a bottle that looks quite regal, let's just say that, with top notes of bergamot, ginger, clary sage, nutmeg, and raspberry, a mid of rooibos tea and suede, and then a base of amberwood, cedarwood, and cashmere. And I want to try this, not gonna lie. I love that they're including tea. I love the inclusion of suede and raspberry. Again, raspberry is one of those notes that I love seeing it in fragrances, especially paired with suede. There's something quite interesting about combining suede with raspberry, like those notes, like you don't expect them to go together, but they really, really do. And it's not often that they're utilized together, in my opinion. So this sounds really interesting. I will see if I can get a decant of this, because I feel like this could be right up my alley. It sounds like they're trying to market this towards women and men. So okay, so like when I saw the bottle, I was thinking that this would be for men, but it literally says for women and men. So this sounds rather interesting. I'm looking forward to testing this out. I have two more perfumes by Lattafa. I'm including them because I found them interesting, so let's get into them. We have King of Arabia and Queen of Arabia. So King of Arabia has notes of raspberry and bergamot at the top, a mid of cedarwood, orris, and osmanthus, and then a base of leather, patchouli, and vanilla. The Queen version, let's open that up as well. This is a vanilla powdery fragrance with top notes of coconut and salt, a mid of heliotrope and sandalwood, and then a base of vanilla and amber. Both of these fragrances sound rather lovely. Apparently, they're saying that Queen of Arabia might have some similarities to Matière Première's vanilla powder fragrance, which I know is super popular, so that's intriguing to know. If I had to be particular though, I would be open to getting decants of this. However, the other fragrance that I mentioned, the one with rooibos tea, the raspberry, and suede, that one seems a little bit more complex and interesting and intriguing. This launch seems good too, but if I had to be particular and choose, I'd probably want to try that other fragrance over these. But again, if you find these notes interesting, definitely go for it. Again, I love the combination of vanilla or of raspberry and leathery suede. I find that that's really good. So if this sounds interesting to you, definitely try it. But also, I do want to mention, I love seeing these beautiful bottle designs. We have a new launch from Valentino. So this is from their Privé line, which is essentially the Anatomy of Dreams collection. You might recognize this kind of bottle design. They have like an entire rainbow collection of these fragrances, and I still have yet to try them. I'll say this, like this is on my to try list for sure. I want to try the entire collection. I haven't gotten around to it yet. They have a new fragrance in this line called Amour Sans Détour, and this includes top notes of a basil accord and Calabrian bergamot, a heart of angelica roots oil, violet accord, a super infusion of Indian jasmine grandiflorum, a rose heart absolute and orris accord, and then a base of leather accord, ambrette seeds absolute, patchouli, Madagascar vanilla bourbon, and a trio of musks. This sounds divine. I want to try this line out so bad. If you've tried anything from like the Valentino Privé collection, please let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. This sounds absolutely tempting. Again, there's so many things in here that I love. I love the violet. I love the orris, leather. These are notes that always call my name. This sounds rather lovely. So yeah, this is something that I will definitely be keeping an eye out for. I don't know where they're available in store. Maybe, okay, you know what? I don't know, maybe they're available in the Valentino boutique. If you know, please let us know in the comments below if you've seen these at Valentino boutiques, because I'm pretty sure I can find a Valentino boutique here in Washington, D.C. So I really want to try this out in person. Anyway, moving on, we have a new fragrance from Plume Impression called Love No Shame. This is inspired by a rendezvous in a patisserie, apparently, and it's supposed to be evoking a love so passionate it verges on obsession. Okay, so we have, let's pull this up, notes of cherry, almond, whipped cream, and strawberry at the top, amid a violet, rose, and cinnamon, and then a base of cocoa, vanilla, sandalwood, musk, and oud. It seems that this is going to be the most edible fragrance so far in the Plume Impression line, so if that speaks to you, then definitely this could be something to try out. Personally, even though the notes do sound delicious, this is likely going to be a pass for me. I don't really see this as anything that I'm missing in my collection. I have a few strawberry fragrances that I absolutely love, mainly Love-O-Matic by Room 1015. I'm obsessed with that one, and that for me, even though it's completely different from this, kind of like scratches a strawberry itch, so I don't really need another strawberry one. And like I said, I don't need another cherry, so this is going to be a pass for me, but if it sounds interesting to you, definitely it's worth checking out. We also have a new fragrance from Tom Ford. This is called Oud Voyager. And this perfume will include notes of geranium, citruses, and pink pepper at the top, amid of red peony, cardamom, and saffron, and then a base of oud, patchouli, vetiver, nagamata, and musk. So a woody, warm, spicy fragrance. Interesting. Okay, so let's see. What are they comparing it to? I'm kind of like intrigued. Okay, it's more than $300. Okay, so people are describing it as a nice, wearable Western style oud with some rosy sweetness. Okay. Someone on Fragrantic has said that women don't really like oud to begin with, and men are not wearing oud that much anymore, at least not in the Western Hemisphere. Oud was cute and rare in the 1910s, but now it's everywhere. Not even a Brita filtered oud is going to make people go for it these days when we're being broiled alive in global warming, let alone at $500 for 50 mils. Okay. Some of these comments make me chuckle sometimes. Anyway, I disagree. Some women like oud. This woman as well likes oud. We all have our tastes. We all have our likes and dislikes. I will say, I feel like every single time I say something negative about Tom Ford or I critique Tom Ford, people tend to have something to say about that, and I'm going to do it again. I feel like Tom Ford fragrances are insanely overpriced. Are they really smart when it comes to being a brand that people love to talk about, really marketing themselves, really having like that household name status in the fragrance world? Yes, but in my mind, are they worth the price? Absolutely not. Because truly the quality is just not in alignment with the price tag. I mean, if we want to pay that kind of money, we can easily go for something like Fragrance du Bois, which has a heavy glass and I think metal bottle that defines luxury, that has the luxurious experience that you would expect for the price that they're asking. Another example is Raja. Again, another luxe fragrance brand, but they're luxe and you can tell with the packaging, the bottle, the experience that this is going to be a luxe experience. But when you have something like Tom Ford come out with plastic caps on their bottles, it's just not it for me. Anyway, we have a new fragrance by Fragrance du Bois, and this is going to be a flanker of Sirène. So this is called Sirène Privée, and this is described as seductive, spicy, impossible to forget. This fragrance will be a citrus cherry with notes of blood orange, pink pepper, and nutmeg at the top, amid of cherry, geranium, and cinnamon, and then a base of oak, cypriol, and vetiver. So I don't own anything I don't own anything from Fragrance du Bois yet, but this is a brand that I would very much like to have at least one bottle from in the future. Their Lovers collection is, I would say, my favorite collection from them so far. So I can't necessarily say that I would go out of my way to get this because I'm not there yet, but I would really much like to smell this. It seems rather interesting, and even though you guys know I tend to be very picky about cherry fragrances, I tried Sirène. I think I sampled it. I liked that cherry. I was not opposed to it. I thought it was a new, interesting take on cherry. and I would be curious to smell this as well. So that's pretty much it for this video. Those are all the fragrances I wanted to talk about this week. Quite a long list, but I hope I've been able to kind of get through this relatively reasonably quickly. But thank you for watching till the end of this video. I hope you found it interesting. Do let me know what stood out to you in this video. Are there any fragrances that you're particularly excited about? Are there any fragrances that you're not quite too keen on? What is your thought on this new trend that we're seeing with more leathery and suede fragrances? Is that a fragrance profile that you're excited about, or are you feeling a bit trepidatious? I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.